Here's the plot for robots. We have Rodney Copperbottom, who's the big fan of Big Weld, and then he liked to take a trip to Robot City and meet with a new friend named Bender or Fender. Well, we'll pick the name right. And then, which suddenly happens is when Rodney wants to come to Big Weld Industries, but it can't because Tim is something that Big Weld isn't here. And then suddenly happens this when Phineas T. Ratchet is here because for the new upgrades for the new electric tux. And then which suddenly happens is when Rodney meets Cappy. And then which suddenly happens is when Phineas T. Ratchet solves Rodney's invention named Wonderbot. And then they decide to kick out of Ratchet's Industries. And then suddenly happens is when Rodney wants to help to find Big Weld. And then suddenly happens is when Fender saw Rodney again. And then suddenly happens is to meet the other friends named Diesel, that one with a green guy, that one with an orange guy named Crank, and here's Piper, and here's, and you know what the drill. There are all kinds of friends. And then, which suddenly, they found a way for the outmoded for an invention. And then suddenly happens this when Rodney wants to fix Wonderbot, and then which suddenly happens is when Rodney wants to fix his Fender's neck, and then which suddenly happens is they like to go on Aunt Fanny's, and then they're doing a perfect idea to take a rest, and then they doing in our own job, and then they like to fix up and get more helping us. And then when the one thing named Madam Gasket, when Madam Gasket solves an outmoded ideas, and then which suddenly happens is when Ronnie and his friends like to help to find a Big Weld ball, and then which suddenly happens is when Rodney and Fender wants to become a disguise to go to the Big Weld ball and find a way. And which suddenly happens is when Phineas T. Ratchet says Big Weld wasn't here, and then suddenly happens is when Mr. Ratchet solves Rodney, and then they like to kick out, and then which suddenly happens is when Rodney and Cappy and all the other friends want to escape, and then suddenly happens is when Rodney wants to find Big Weld with Cappy, and then suddenly happens is which they want to help to find a way and into the whole wave of dominoes. And then suddenly happens is when Big Weld is here, hooray! And then suddenly happens is when Big Weld is pretty sad about when Big Weld Industries are going to shut down. And which suddenly happens is when Rodney wants to help to find a way to fix an idea. And then suddenly happens is when Big Weld returns for the other friends of Robot City. And then they like to hit the re-grand opening and get ready to come back to business. And then, which suddenly happens is when Big Weld versus Ratchet. And then, when Big Weld wants to fire Ratchet, and then, but, which suddenly happens is, but it cannot, because Ratchet hits a thing for Big Weld. And then suddenly happens is when Rodney wants to fix Big Weld's brain, and then they want to find a way, and then it's pretty much like an adventure mission to defeat Mad Gasket and, of course, Ratchet. And then what suddenly happens is, when all the other friends wants to help to save the Big World Industries and to defeat the baddies and to save Big World until further notice, and then what suddenly happens is, when Mad Gasket is dead from shredding into pieces, and Phineas T. Ratchet puts the upgraders off. And then we save the day, and the Big World Industries is returned. And then what suddenly happens is they give the happy ending for the new inventions for his dad and doing the perfect song and the happy ending. That's it for the plot. What do I heard of it? Ah, yes. The very first time I just watched it as a childhood. It was really awesome. Whew, this is another Blue Sky Studios film that I really enjoyed for the most. So, the animation looks pretty colorful. It has really makes sense for the animated industry. The story, it's pretty cool. The characters, we have Rodney Copperbottom, the main character. He is perfectly awesome. He played the legendary Ewan McGregor, which is the same cast who played Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Star Wars prequels. And let's take a look at Fender, which is the main character. He is pretty funny. He played the legendarily Robin Williams. Rest in peace, Robin Williams. You're the perfect actor. So, which is the same cast who played Genie from Aladdin for 1992. And then we have Big World, who played the legendarily Mel Brooks, which is the same cast who played Vlad from the Hotel Transylvania sequels. And of course, the directors for the spoof genres. Well, that is so awesome! And yep, and including the Robot City friends named Piper, Diesel, Mom of a Green Guy, and Crank. They are awesome, including Aunt Fanny. She's funny. Capper. Not Capper. You know Capper from My Little Pony, the movie for 2017. I meant to say Cappy. Cappy, who played Halle Berry. She's awesome. And here we have Phineas T. Ratchet and Madame Gasket are the main villains. And here we have Rodney's parents named... Oh, that's Rodney's parents. They're nice. All the other characters are really nice. And yes, including Shy by Ricky Fonte. That song is awesome. And those of the musics are pretty awesome that you like to hear from the entire film. As for negatives, none. It gets a 10 out of 10 in my personal opinion. Amazing, brilliant masterpiece. Stay tuned for tomorrow of Ice Age The Meltdown for review. Hope you all enjoy.